Hey guys, welcome back to Ponderings from Palm Coast. And as I have promised, I have Ray Stevens, who's running for District 3 City Council, his old seat. A phenomenal turnaround, and we're really excited to have you here. I brought him back, and I'm committed to bringing candidates back as issues develop, things happen, new information occurs, to give you a chance to learn more about Ray or learn about what's going on and understand how important it is that every citizen verify that you vote. The voter rolls are being purged constantly, so you need to check, get your mail-in ballot done now so you don't find yourself struggling potentially with trying to prove who you are at a polling place. That's a way around that. And participate. Be aware of what's going on in your city. There's a lot of things that are going on in this city, and that's why I asked Ray to come back. Ray, welcome. Thanks for coming back to the podcast.
Thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here.
I appreciate it. So, as it stands today, you're running unopposed. Could change at any minute.
Right.
How are you dealing with preparing for moving forward with your candidacy with no candidate at this point?
Well, as I said at a recent forum, I'm the same person I was 11 months ago when I was on the city council. Same ideology, same philosophy, same message. And that message is, whether I have an opponent or not, it's going to remain the same.
Yeah.
Is that I think we definitely need to put the brakes on, as I say, or pull the reins in on this uncontrolled and poorly planned development, and the impacts it's having on the quality of life here. And I mean across the board. I mean sewer, water, roadways, flooding, loss of green space pretty soon in the not too distant future. I visualize that there won't be any green space of any significance left in the city of Palm Coast. And when you do away with the green space and you cover it over with concrete or blacktop, the water can't get to the aquifer and replenish the wells. And flood waters can't flow back into the wetlands, pine forests, because they're all covered with blacktop. That is, and traffic, air quality. I mean, this traffic is going to get worse, and so my message is going to be the same, at the risk of being redundant, whether I have an opponent or not. But what I'm trying to do is, not being on the city council any longer, I'm trying to stay in the loop and read as much, watch the meetings on YouTube, to try to stay in touch and formulate opinions on what's going on.
Well, and speaking of that, I was very impressed with a posting you made on Facebook after the February debacle decision that the city council voted in a second reading to approve a development through the ICI on a brand new possible non-profit offer that they made. And you, like many others, and I have it right here, felt that the city just failed in its due diligence to at least step back and understand exactly what these builders, these developers were trying to do.
Yeah. the nonprofit and the housing being geared to public servants, fire, police, teachers, etc. This is the first. This was mentioned in connection with this project. So, is this hearing that they had? Is this the first hearing, or is it the second hearing of the first proposal that didn't mention anything about nonprofit or public safety officers? So, in my opinion, this is the first reading of something that was never contained in what was purported to be the first reading. So, if you follow my logic there. I will tell you that if I was on the city council, it would be definite no vote. This was litigated 12 years ago. They reached an agreement. The city actually bent over backwards to provide the ability for ICI homes to build in the east section. And it was dormant for 12 years. All of a sudden, it comes back into play. So I think it was a boondoggle. I think that it should have been, this should have been the first reading. Should have been some more discussion on nonprofit. Basically, ICI Homes has a nonprofit that's donating to itself. It's all ICI nonprofit organizations. So I don't know how that's going to work, but it certainly doesn't. It seems a little, as my daughter would say, sketchy, a little sketchy.
Sus.
So
Well,
The word is sus.
sus, yeah, that's a new. Well, and in her defense, and I spoke to the vice mayor, and she spoke publicly and said there were enough limitations or expectations put on the developer that they would have to answer all these questions before it moved forward. And so that made her decision really moot as far as how the vote went. I personally have a real problem with that because we elect officials to sit up there that I love how Mayor Norris tends to like to give us civic lessons on this is a republic, which it is. Mm-hmm. And that we elect officials like Ray Stevens to make 90% of the decisions for us. He's absolutely correct. But in this case, they didn't make a decision. They just put agreed limitations on a builder to come back with all of this information before they could move forward. Right. I don't understand why. And it's interesting, I talked to some people on the development board, which initially approved not just the original 53 homes, but the expansion of the additional 13, and told me, had they had known that this was a possibility, that a builder, who I believe should have presented everything that they were thinking, they probably would have rethought that whole process. At least would have done their due diligence to look it into. So tabling it to find more about it, to clarify what you were talking about with the transition of giving away acreage with no profit. What's the word? Sus? Little sus there.
Yeah.
But your statement and your response to that, I felt, was perfect and appropriate and consistent with most of the citizens.
Well, thank you. I think that Miss Pontieri, who seems to be the focus of this ICI expansion in the east section, made a judgment in error in judgment, and if nothing else, it makes for bad optics, as they say in politics. So that's all I'm going to say about a particular person on this
Sure.
issue. I think that after 12 years, I think it's 12 years, this has, lied dormant. And now all of a sudden, they want to get this passed, approved, expanded. I think is that they're fearful of a change of complexion on the city council. That if things don't go their way, they would never get it through. And the people in the east section are not happy. Now ICI wants to build a 500-unit housing development, again on Seminole Woods Parkway, which is already deforested to the point where there's very little green space left, with a shopping center and all kinds of, it's just not for a residential neighborhood. You see, they're mixing residential and commercial here that it doesn't seem to work anywhere else. So I would also be opposed to that.
Yeah. Well, changing subject on you. What are your thoughts? And I know that you were in law enforcement for many years up north. And so you have an understanding of the complexity of the value, cost, and needs of that. What are your thoughts about the continuation of reimbursing or paying above and beyond taxes, millage rate taxes, Palm Coast treasure, our money, to support the sheriff's department?
That's a question I've been asked a lot. I have feelings on the issue, but as I said, I think last year, and I said it this year when asked, can it be done? Can we have our own police department, not necessarily autonomous, shared services police department? Yes, we could. Do I think it'd be cost effective? Yes, I do. But it's not up to the city council to make that decision. It's up to the people that are being policed. If they are that concerned that they're not getting the service, if they're that concerned that they're not getting the bang for their buck, then have a referendum. And if the referendum passes, then the city council can look into it to see the feasibility and is it the economic feasibility and research the issue. Used to be the Chiefs of Police Association, the U.S. Chiefs of Police Association would do this study free of charge. International Chiefs of Police Association would do this study to determine feasibility, manpower requirements, et cetera, et cetera. So, but once again, that's up to the people. They have to say, hey, let's get together. They get a referendum for most everything else. Get a referendum, and if it goes through, then the city council will deal with it. But to spearhead the issue, I believe would be a mistake.
It was something that I was surprised when I learned about it years ago when I moved in here, and I lived in the city of Palm Coast, which had no law enforcement, so we used the county, like every other city does, most of them, and we pay county millage rate. You pay county taxes for county efforts. Last year's budget for the sheriff's department county was approximately about $42 to $48 million. That's how much we paid or presented through the budget for the county law enforcement services, of which we benefit from. We then, on top of it, spent an additional $11 million. And if you do the simple math, that's 1/4 more than what the budget had already been done. And I bring this up because just recently, the sheriff's department was reimbursed through the state, through the federal government for ICE and Homeland.
Detention of prisoners.
Well, it wasn't just that. There was a long list, which Pierre did a good job of posting all of it, for a tune of about $750,000. Do you think the city should be reimbursed from part of that $11 million we paid above and beyond?
Yeah, I do. The mechanics of which have to be worked out, percentages, et cetera, et cetera. But I'd like to just add to your statement. We're paying the people in Flagler County, especially the people in the city of Palm Coast. We're paying for police services, county taxes.
Mm-hmm.
We're paying for police services in our city taxes. We're paying for police services in our school budget taxes for school resource officers.
Yes.
So we're getting a triple whammy here, you know, and I think that that's something that, as I said, I digress, that the public should look into. Do you want to continue to do that? You happy with that? If not, well, then have a referendum and perhaps we can change it if it turns out to be cost effective. So that's, as you said, part of the problem now. The sheriff is required by law, state law, to provide law enforcement services in the county, for the county, run the jail, operate the jail. And that's what is required of the sheriff's office by law. So we somehow, and it goes back to several sheriffs ago, won't mention any names, they came up with this idea, well, if Palm Coast wants more police protection, they're going to have to pay for more police protection. When in fact, that's not correct, because it should be spread out through the county, because it's the county sheriff's office. If you need more money or more policemen in Palm Coast, you're required to provide adequate police protection. And if that requires additional police officers or additional deputies, then you have to supply it. Okay, taxes will go up, but it should be spread throughout the county and not the city. Now, we have somewhat of a unique situation here. We have Flagler Beach has their own police department, and Bunnell have their own police department, but they are not autonomous police departments. And what I mean by that is they have to rely on the sheriff's office for canine, marine patrol,
Deputy.
youth,
Or, higher end
SWAT,
support and
crime
stuff.
scene.
Yeah.
And on major cases, they don't have detectives or enough detectives to be able to handle a major case. So they have to rely on the county. Now, the sheriff can't charge them for that because he's required to provide that service. So, but in Palm Coast, we're paying extra. Now,
For exceptional service, that's exactly what the contract says.
Mm-hmm.
We actually, every budget year, and it's the largest, I believe, it's the largest single contract that our city council approves and signs every year is with the sheriff's department.
well,
And it went up 24% from the previous year. He requested and the city spent over $300,000, and you may have been on the council then, to put resources on the stoplights to track, I believe it was the license plate
readers.
license plate readers that the city paid for on top of it. Now I bring this up because every day now I drive by a gas station. I look at my stock. I look at the situations that are going on. I see what's happening up in Tallahassee with conversations about reducing the single largest source of finances for the city.
Yeah.
So the challenge is that anybody on the city council is going to be faced with and that hopefully you, along with others, are going to have to look at how can we maintain what our citizens want
The level of service.
with less cost. And it needs to have a conversation. We need to understand what I loved recently. Sheriff Staley was talking about on Free for All Friday. His biggest check and balance with his department is ROI, rate of return. Meaning, if I spend $10, am I getting $10 worth of services? I don't know if that's appropriate in a law enforcement environment because you can't really put a value on saving a citizen, and you come from that.
Law enforcement is a unique situation. You can't determine effectiveness by there's no way to gauge how many crimes did you prevent.
Yeah, no.
That's an unknown factor.
But you can look at the number going down, in which crime is going down most everywhere.
Nationwide.
Yes.
Nationwide it has dropped. However, as I said, there's no way to gauge. I think the sheriff's office is doing a pretty good job. I mean, the response time is good. They have all of the services. They provide the canine, marine, crime scene, etc. But here again, and I can't say this strongly enough, and that's going to be my position if I do get elected, or when I get elected, is that it's up to the people to make that decision, not some politicians. Although when I was on the city council, and when I get back on the city council, my decisions that I make are going to be reflective of what my constituency thinks is important. Not because I have a personal agenda, not because I want to see I have a real estate business or a construction business. It's going to be based on what my constituency feels is important. And that's how I'm going to make my decisions. And we'll see. I think that's the way everybody on the city council, county commission, or all the way up the line. That should be what guides them in making decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the record, I am a huge supporter of law enforcement. Every interaction I have ever had with Flagler County Sheriff's officers have been phenomenal. They are supportive, caring, responsive. No question, they provide a phenomenal service for us. But it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to say, I need to know more about this. Tell us about this helicopter. Tell us why you have sheriffs out on 95 policing that area when even the vice mayor admitted that she was told last year that DeSantis had cut back on the budget of the highway patrol and had requested that the sheriffs in those counties step up and start patrolling an area that wasn't ours to begin with. So it's about a conversation. It's about being transparent. And I love your suggestion of the city being more aware of what the citizens are. You guys know that I'm really pushing this survey. It closes on the 15th of March. It is extensive, and it talks about law enforcement and talks about all the different utilities. Yeah, mass transportation, roads, whatever. So,
yeah, as you said, yeah, the sheriff's deputies are out there on 95. We have concurrent jurisdiction with the state police or the highway patrol. They have primary jurisdiction, but that doesn't preclude or doesn't prohibit deputies going out there and doing traffic enforcement. But the primary responsibility less rests with the state police. I personally would like to see them on Belterre, Seminole Woods, Route 100, which some of these roads are like speedways. The speed limit is 50, and they're doing 60 and 70. Especially on Seminole Woods, I can speak personally because I live off of Seminole Woods. I mean, poosh, going by it like you were standing still.
Every day I drive around going,
Now,
this guy just ran a light. This guy just went the wrong way, or whatever. And where are they when you need them? But they're there when I've needed them.
when you
and
call
I've
them,
been
yeah,
thankful.
that's not
It's
the
amazing.
issue. But I mean, as I said on my Facebook page, I have 2 pages. It's Ray Stevens for Palm Coast City Council District 3. This is my campaign page. I put little snippets on there occasionally, and one of them is we don't have a revenue problem here. We have a priorities problem. Okay, so what I mean by that is, wasting money on things other than what the priorities are, and the priorities have been well defined: water, sewer, traffic, loss of green space, taxes. I can go on and on. That's where the priority should lie. Not on pickleball courts, not on resurfacing a parking lot up in Matanzas High School parking lot, blacktopping it, which is going to be very expensive. It's going to stop, once again, percolation of the water. It's going to cause flooding. Instead of doing the lot in gravel, hard packed gravel, which would allow water to be absorbed and get down to the aquifer. So that's for me. That's concrete and blacktop is not a priority at the parking lot.
So Ray, your priorities, I think, are very consistent with most people because those issues touch people all the time, right? Not everybody is going to use the Y. Not everybody golfs, and we have these amenities and things. But when those expenditures come before the city council, like you're just talking about with the blacktop, and by the way, if you have the new app, you can see that they're going to start resurfacing Palm Coast Boulevard down through the main part of town in the middle of the day. And I don't know how much that's going to cost. And I don't know if that road is even needed.
No.
But environmentally, is there anybody talking about the impact? Because I don't see it.
No.
Like the new concrete batch plant that they want to try again to put it on Hargrove grade. There was very little conversation through the development group about
Right.
the impact of the water and the usage and all that. So at what point do we get that information?
Well, it should be asked before the project is even considered or okay. The environmental impact, we have unintended consequences. When you blacktop something and you pave over it, there should be an environmental study done. The airport, there should be a noise study done. They did one. There's no not excessive noise on the airport, but it ain't the airport where people live. It's a quarter mile from the airport. So that they went ahead full speed with the $16 million, as I mentioned last time, terminal.
Oh, the new terminal at the airport.
$16 million. $1 million of that is almost $1 million of that is county money, state and federal, which we still pay state and federal taxes.
Sure.
For an airport that goes nowhere. What's it for? Terminals are generally, you go, you wait, you buy your ticket, you wait for your plane or your flight, and you board, and boom, you have a nice, comfortable place. You put a little shops in there, et cetera, et cetera. There's no commercial traffic at this airport. It's an airfield. It's a flight training airfield for Embry-Riddle and Phoenix East, of which I understand this Maury Husseini, has money, this is what I understand, involved in Embry-Riddle. And some people are saying that this expansion in the housing, because of its proximity to the airport, is going to be for flight students and personnel. That's what some people are saying. Now, that remains to be seen. Whether I'm not saying that's true, but that's what some people are saying.
Right.
So this is all very entangled here with the developers and donations and this and that, which I think is actually destroying the character and quality of life here in Palm Coast.
Right. And that brings up, I speak to a lot of people, and mostly they're our age. That is one of the number one hopes that these retirees like us that came here, was that there was a brand, there was a concept of what Palm Coast was going to be. What attracted you to come here to buy a home and retire and enjoy the beaches or golf or whatever else. Mm-hmm. And yet I hear, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I hear the city council, the people sitting on there today, is expand, grow. We need to turn Palm Coast into another St. Augustine or Daytona because we need to grow. We need to find jobs. We need to do this. Now, at the face of it, that's inevitable anyway, one way or the other. But I would like to know your opinion of the basis for the decision on the ICI development and even further futures is to try to find a way to provide affordable homes. I'm not going to say low income or anything, just affordable homes so that our workforce that's here, whether it be sheriffs, teachers, city, whatever, can afford to live here, but yet they're not willing to pay them a livable wage so that they can afford to live here. And the vice mayor very clearly, and you can see this on one of the YouTube, she said, look, if the citizens want us to pay our schools and sheriffs and whatever enough money so they can afford to be here, then by all means, let's do it. But you're going to have to suffer with the increase in your taxes. So it's kind of that double-edged sword. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that this conversation is happening a lot of places, not just here in Palm Coast. Mm-hmm. You know, the average cost of a home here is $350,000. The average pay of a starting wage for a sheriff or a school teacher is somewhere around $50,000. Well, those two numbers don't work out, right? So what are your thoughts on how do we attract and keep great talent in our city when we can't afford to pay them what the cost of living is to live here?
Okay, let's take the first issue. And this refers to this East Hampton development, okay? They're going to jam, let's see, they got permission for 58 houses if memory serves, with 90
correct.
by 90 foot lots. And they want to reduce it to 60 by 60 square foot lots, 60 by 60 foot lots. And they're going to build houses that purportedly is for police, fire, teachers, etc. I did a little research in the city of Palm Coast, and this is according to several real estate sources. There are 1,800 to 2,400 vacant houses, varying in price from what they want to charge on East Hampton, lower, and of course, higher. So there is housing available. So why are they so bound and determined to force or, squash in another, let's see, 58 to 71, I don't know,
13.
How much, 15 houses?
13 homes.
13 homes, when there are plenty of vacant homes available now, except that they're not in the proximity of the airport. So
That's a good point.
I think that's something that, all right, as far as the teachers' deputy salary, I did a little research. The deputies are in parity with comparable cities, counties. The teachers, I can't really speak to, but I would think that they have maintained some sort of parity. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to attract anybody to come here. So not everybody could be paid $150,000 a year, although that would be a utopian objective. So we got to take a step back and say, hey, what's going on here? With the infrastructure, what the priorities are, where do we want to spend our money, and leave it in some cases to the people to make a decision collectively.
Right.
And that is be in the form of a petition.
So as a law enforcement officer who's been in law enforcement, you were up in the Northeast.
New York.
In New York. How often were you able, in the course of your career, to live in close proximity to the city or the county that you were providing services? Because I can speak to myself. I was active duty military for 20 years. Unless I lived on base in a housing, I couldn't live anywhere near the base that I was assigned to or the city that base was assigned to, because the federal government was not going to pay me, and so I had to commute. In my later years, when I was working for the Boeing company after I'd retired from the military, and I was in the Northwest, outside of Seattle, I had to commute 52 miles to find a home that I could afford. And so for me, I don't hear enough justification to impact employment of who are comparably paid, as you just said, whether it's the teachers or the law enforcement or fire department, they're all paid living wage compared to what all the others are. The expectation that the city or the county needs to also provide the ability for these people at this wage to be able to afford and buy a home, I think we're talking two completely different conversations.
Right. You're right. I was a police officer in New York. I worked narcotics in New York City for a while, and then I retired from the Ossining, New York Police Department, which is in the New York City metropolitan area. And in order to work there, you had to live within 10 miles of the precinct.
Oh, there was a rule about that?
Yeah, there was when I took the job.
Wow.
And my mother lived in Yonkers. I couldn't live with her in Yonkers because it was like 12 miles from downtown Ossining. So I had to go live in a rooming house because I couldn't afford the rents at the time. The starting pay was relatively low. They always start you off low, and then you have first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, etc. So that's a problem nationwide. I mean, with the teachers and police and fire, is that they have to end up renting, or in my case, it was a rooming house. It was an interesting experience. But until I did go up the ladder far enough, after 2 or 3 years, I was able to afford a small apartment. So the solution to that is, well, yeah, it would be nice to pay police, fire, EMTs, teachers a lot more money. And I think it's lopsided in this society. Well, they'll pay somebody to play football $40 million a year, and somebody that's going to come and save your life, you're paying them $50,000 a year. That's not going to be corrected in my lifetime.
No.
But it's just a fact of life.
Well, and I also wanted to finish that thought about the Boeing company because I worked for a union then. And it was guaranteed that the environment, the rental, and the home sales were reflected by what the union contracts did every 3 years when they offered a $10,000 bonus and a 30% pay raise of those employees. Boom, a week later, housing rates went up, rental rates went up, because the people that own these properties, the people who are involved, knew that the people that they were renting to had a little extra cash.
Yeah.
And so it's like the dog chasing the car. He has no idea what he's going to do when he catches it, and it's impossible. I don't think it's even a necessary conversation. Now, maybe we could set up augmented support, kind of like a GI Bill or something in which the city or the county could come in and do assistance for loans and do commitments or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are all great conversations for people to have. But to believe that we are going to maintain the cost of homes and rentals, not a real thing, and that we can pay our employees so that they can afford to live here, that's also not a real thing. So I don't know what the answer is.
Well, it's in your case, it's cost and demand. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? You got more money, so now we're going to raise the price. But there needs to be a conversation concerning the affordability or making housing more affordable for or within reach of our public servants across the board. And I don't know, either I don't know whether the city council should take the lead on that necessarily. It should be maybe a committee, somebody made up of economists, local people, to see and come up with some kind of ideas as to, like as you said, maybe some sort of assistance, maybe a tax break, and see what to move in that direction.
Sure.
No guarantees, but like I said, there's plenty of housing out there, and there's going to be more. People are moving out. I read an article that Palm Coast, of all of the cities in the state, is number 5 in the amount of people that are moving out, the exodus of people. And there's a reason for that. I don't know. Some people say it's because they're destroying the original character of Palm Coast. It's getting too expensive to live here. It's too crowded. It could be a number of things. Because I moved here. I built the house here in 2002. And it was I don't know, population is probably around 40,000. Was it a small town? Well, compared to where I came from, yeah, it was a small town. And some people, it was not a small town. But it had that small town character. And every day we're losing that small town character, small town feel. And that's why people, if they wanted a big city, they could have moved to Miami, Jacksonville, but that's not what they were looking for.
It's already at 110,000, so.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to go up. I think there's 19,000 units in the hopper. according to what Mayor Norris said at one of the meetings. That's we can't handle that.
Yeah,
Not
no,
the
I don't.
highways can't handle it. The utilities can't handle it. And people have this notion that the more we build, the more houses, particularly with houses, the more houses we build, the tax rate will come down because there's more people paying taxes. But more people put more strain and more strain on our public services, police, fire, schools, water. So
Sure.
you know, you go up 600 and then the price goes up, cost of living goes up, commensurate. So we got to slow down, got to take a step back. That's been my position, will be my position from here on out.
Well, and I think in closing, it's important, and I'm in total agreement with you. Not every issue presented to City Council is a priority. Our priorities should be geared or directed toward improving the life and quality of what the citizens are asking for at an economic level. There's some things that are too expensive or too outside or not even within the bounds of what the city can do. As I've talked about in a previous, we all agree there needs to be lights at the Matanzas intersection of 95. There's been accidents, there's even been deaths. Mm-hmm. The city has no ability to go in and do that because it is federal funded. It is the Department of Transportation that has to go in and approve and stuff. We've heard over and over complaining about 100. Well, 100 is part of State Road 100. It's a state rule. Mm-hmm. And so we can communicate about lights or about widening and traffic, and that's all well and good. But there are limitations to what the city council can do and respond to. And so I'm hoping, and I heard you and others have said, it is important that we understand, and this is just me, of what the council takes on and works for, and what is the ROI of it. We just talked about the motorcycle week was going on.
Right.
All throughout Palm Coast for the whole week were illegal trailers in people's driveways because they were in Airbnbs. Mm-hmm. There hasn't been a change in the guidelines of parking trailers in driveways. Right by my house, there were multiple large trailers that were sitting in the swells. Again, not allowed.
Yeah.
Crickets, things that were going on. Did we get anything out of all the efforts that we made trying to change the parking of commercial vehicles? I don't think so.
No, I wish I was able to vote on that. I did have some input on it before I went into the hospital. But as I said on my website, you know, we don't have a revenue problem, we have a priorities problem.
Exactly.
And in this case here, we're at the point where we have to make the distinction on what would be nice to have and what we need to have, okay? Now, as far as the parking of commercial vehicles, we have to make and I don't think that's been brought out or made clear enough. There's a difference between commercial vehicles that are 20,000 pounds and have commercial plates and personal vehicles used for business. There's already something in the city code that if you have a personal vehicle that you use for business, you could put a sign on it, 3x3 on each door. Now, that's a personal vehicle used for business. To park a truck, a dump truck in your driveway with commercial plates, that doesn't belong in a residential area.
Right.
And
that wasn't changed by any of the ordinances. That's still not tolerated.
Well,
Enforced. I think is the better word.
Well, that's good, but they should have made clear that there's an alternative.
Sure.
If you have electric business or you, you know, a painter or whatever, and you have a personal vehicle, yeah, and you want to park it in your driveway, you put the 3x3 signs on it, and you're fine. So it won't impact on those people. Maybe they know, maybe they don't know. But that would have simplified things.
Yeah. So Ray, how can we support you? What do you want the citizens to know about what you need to move your candidacy forward? Is there a place they can donate time, or are you taking volunteers yet? Or, well, where are you at with your campaign?
Well, I have 55 petitions to date. Figured 10% are going to be rejected. But if anybody lives in District 3, which consists of, which is important to know, Seminole Woods, the U section, Quail Hollow, the Z section, and Double L section, the P section, Grand Haven, to Hidden Lakes, and Tygona, what is that, the other one there? Housing between Hidden Lakes, it'll come to me. But in that area of Old Kings Road, that's all Sector 3. That's District 3. Sector, I'm talking police. That's all District 3. And anybody that lives in there can sign a petition for me. Contact me via Facebook or email. My email address is on Facebook. And I'll get petitions to you. And I'll pick them up if you get them signed. Because I'm going to be out in earnest next week. And that's really, right at this point, the only help I need.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming by.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it. I love talking to you about things that are going on because you have something that none of the other candidates have, because there's no incumbents sitting. They're all moving on. And we're going to have we're going to have three new city council members on the dais upcoming. And so it is incredible that you get a chance to understand what these candidates are thinking. Because as I've heard it 1,000 times, citizens want to put people in there that are looking out for their best interest.
I hear it all the time.
I do as well. So thanks again. I really appreciate it. Look forward to bringing you back later in the year. It's a long race, but it's happening today. So be aware. Remember, get out there. Go to the elections office online. Really simple. Check your status. Make sure that you're registered active. Some people are discovering that because they didn't vote in a couple cycles, they've been removed. Sign up for mail-in ballot. Now we have a potential of questioning whether you have the right records or documentation to get in to vote at the polls. You don't have that problem with mail-in ballot. So order that, get that in. And guys, I want you to stay safe. And please, keep smiling. Stop looking at gas prices. Stop looking at the drama. It's overwhelming. We're going to get through all this, and we're going to be okay. So with that, thanks a lot. I look forward to seeing you again. Bye.
Integra Woods.
So your plan is eventually you're going to get back out there and knock on doors in your area?
That's next week.